Hello everyone, and welcome back to my live stream. Today I'm going to be working on a twitch.tv banner for a friend of mine. Actually, probably maybe a couple of his banners, like he has an About Me section and games section and stuff, but I'm gonna just start with what I have here, which is the main banner that I started last night, but I'm gonna work on it a little bit today on today's live stream. And then after I work on that a little bit, my plan is to work on a couple of artworks for this live stream, since I'm going to be doing it on a weekly basis, more or less. I've decided I might add like a PNG tuber avatar thing in the corner at some point, and so I'm going to be drawing the images for that today too, potentially. But for now, let's just focus on this. So let's see. I have this basic pose in mind for the character, and I also have some ideas for the character design. I'm still not the most experienced with character anatomy and all that, despite doing this for over 12 years at this point. But I do my best. That's what matters. And I'll get better as I keep doing this throughout my life. So not going to be talking as much on this stream, probably, just because what I learned from last week is that it's a lot of energy to just keep talking when nobody is actually like actively listening. Plus, I tend to say some pretty stupid stuff if I just keep talking thinking nobody's listening. So anyway, I'm not going to talk as much on this stream, probably, because of that, but if someone does stop by, I'll say hello, and hopefully they say hello back, and it's going to be a good time today. That's my goal today, besides the actual artworks I'm creating, is to just have fun with it. Just have fun with the artwork that I'm creating. So, the artwork and the stream itself. The knees kind of go in like that. Just remembering some of what I know about leg anatomy. Even though I'm not super good at drawing it yet, I at least have the image in my mind that I want to create. So, actually, I'm debating whether to make this character digigrade, because I'm not only making a banner for my friend, I'm also designing his Sona in the process. So, because he doesn't actually have a reference or design for the character yet, so I get to make it up myself, which is pretty fun. He's a different kind of character than I've done before, but I have a pretty clear image of kind of what I want him to look like in my mind, and I'll see what my friend thinks of the design. I think he'll like it. So, I don't know whether to make his feet digigrade or plantigrade, though, because I've never really drawn digigrade on these anthro characters before, even though I think it looks adorable. I've never drawn it myself for some reason. None of my characters are digigrade, and I have no experience drawing digigrade, so saying all this while I'm drawing the character Planigrade. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing any of that correctly. Is it Digigrade or is it Digitigrade? Is it Plantigrade or is it Plantidigrade or whatever? I don't know. Don't know how to pronounce that correctly. I might be pronouncing it just fine and making a silly of myself here, but that's alright. I guess I'll just go for Planigrade since I'm better at drawing that. It's not like I've done a good job at averting that, so Planigrade it is. I feel like his feet are too big, potentially, but I'll come back to that. Kind of the image in my mind was more cartoony than this anyway, so maybe big feet isn't a problem. I'm not great at hands either. I was thinking thumbs up here, but let's see. Looking at my left hand here, my thumb is pointed outward. So if I was doing a thumbs up, I just have to reference my own hands from time to time because I frequently forget which direction the thumbs are relative to the rest of the arm. So let's see. Fingers are curled in on a thumbs up, so kind of. That's not bad. It's not bad at all, actually. Drew his paw on the first try. Cool. That doesn't happen very often, where I get the hand right on the first try. Might have something to do with the fact I'm live streaming, though. Like I kind of mentioned a little bit in my last stream, there's this phenomena among individuals with ADHD where if there's someone literally just even in the room with them, their mind tends to just work better. And I have ADHD, I'm among that group, so the fact I'm live streaming actually makes my ADHD symptoms somewhat lesser. They don't fully disappear like I implied in last stream, but they definitely do kind of impact me less when I have a captive audience, even if that captive audience is just OBS, and not like an actual audience, as it, as far as I can tell, currently is. But I mean, just the fact that someone might be watching is enough to kind of trigger that body double phenomena, as they call it. And it's really interesting. I can actually just work a lot better when I'm recording. So that's actually one of the main reasons I've decided to start doing these weekly live streams, in fact, because I kind of realized the whole body double phenomena really helps me a lot with tasks that I would otherwise kind of get stuck on. Last year around Christmas time, I managed to declutter and clean up my entire apartment all in more or less one sitting. It was over the span of maybe a few days, actually, but still, like, I managed to do that. And the reason I managed to do that is because I made a video out of it. I didn't post the video anywhere, but and I don't plan to. But just the fact that I made a video out of it, just the fact that I had my camera on a tripod recording me cleaning my apartment up, that alone was enough to make me a lot more productive than I otherwise would have been. And I managed to declutter my whole apartment in just a few days, whereas without the camera it might have taken over a year. And I'm not even kidding, like I'm not exaggerating there. Just with ADHD, everything takes longer and everything is more difficult than it ought to be. And so just having the camera there was really helpful. Also, I wanted to mention, completely unrelated to all that, but I kind of wanted to mention on this live stream, I have kind of figured out what was causing all the flickering last time. Last time there was a persistent problem where the screen was flickering quite a bit. And that was because I have a thing set up in OBS where every time I switch the active window, it switches the main window capture source to the window that I'm currently have active. And I set that up mostly as a privacy thing, so it's not capturing my entire desktop and stuff. But the problem with how I had it set up is that it wouldn't just change the window when the actual process changed. It would also change it whenever the window's name changed. And I realized that Krita constantly changes its window name. Like every time I save, a little asterisk in the top left corner disappears, and every time I make a change, that asterisk reappears, and also it does a few other minor changes when I change to different layers or different documents. Sometimes when I change my eraser or brush, it'll change slightly, or it'll refresh and OBS will just detect the refresh. And anyway, it was causing a ton of flickering in OBS last time, and that gave me a headache to watch, just watching the recorded live stream. And so thankfully I have fixed that. Now my active window switcher thingy only switches the window if the window process name switches. It does not even bother if it's still the same process, even if the window's name has changed a bit. So yeah, no more flickering. That's the whole point, and so I'm glad I figured that out. Let's see. Am I doing well with his face here? Need to add a little more of his muzzle here. One of the things that's kind of funny about this artwork here, this banner, is it's actually a pretty low resolution, so it's kind of hard for me to get small details right, because the small details are just pixels. Basically doing pixel art at this resolution, but like, even though it can be more difficult, you know, people are going to be viewing it zoomed out like this, or possibly even this, since it's going to be like on his Twitch TV page. So I don't really need to concern myself with the details too terribly much, but I am somewhat of a perfectionist. I like to get things right. But as my art tutor has taught me, perfect is the destroyer of correct, or whatever, however she phrases it. But basically, if you're trying to be perfect, you're never going to be good. And boy, there's some Portal 2 mods that really exemplify that. In fact, every major, big, popular Portal 2 mod exemplifies that. everything from Revolution to Portal Stories Mel to like heck, even Thinking with Time Machine to some degree, even though that wasn't really that great of a mod. People universally agree it was an interesting concept, but just very poorly executed. But anyway, point is, the Portal 2 community, especially the modding community, has kind of this unfortunate culture of toxic perfectionism and elitism and stuff. And a lot of those big popular mods, their teams kind of have this culture of everything needs to be absolutely perfect and yada yada. And like the visuals in these mods are amazing, but the story kind of is crap. It's worse than the typical fan fiction a lot of the time. I've read like fan fictions of Portal 2 that are legitimately better than the storylines in these big popular Portal 2 mods. And so they're focusing so much on their perfectionism with the visuals and the hammer work and stuff that they completely miss the thing that I like about those mods, or the thing I would like if it was better, which is the story. That's actually why I was a fan of Portal for so long. Is it wasn't the puzzles, it wasn't the brushwork and the minutia of over 20-year-old game engine. It was the plot, it was the characters, the story. I like Cave Johnson as a character not because his portrait model was really well textured and because the office it was in was like perfectly brushed and all that crap. No, I like Cave Johnson because he's an interesting character. It's not because of the hammer stuff that they obsess about so much. And anyway, their mods stories really suffer because they're focusing on perfectionism, and it's kind of a cautionary tale for me that I intentionally try not to follow in the footsteps of those Portal 2 mod makers with anything that I do. I'm not a Portal modder anymore, but like with artwork, with videos, whatever, and especially since my art tutor is teaching me, just don't be a perfectionist or you're going to ruin your work. Because if you pursue perfectionism, it's not even going to be good, is the thing. So I don't know really where I was going with all that, but I guess the point is don't fuss with the details when the details aren't even the important part a lot of the time. They're a bonus, but they're not the main event. So, yep, there's a happy Foxo. I think I have the pose down pretty well. I don't like the direction his eyes are looking, so I'm gonna change that. Gonna give him blank white eyes for a second here, just while I reposition them to look more directly at the viewer. Or try to. It's kind of one of those things I'm not super good at, is determining the position of the eyes so that they're looking at you. I do my best. Part of the character design I have in mind is that he has heterochromia, which is just a fancy term that means his eyes are two different colors. And so I really want to show that, if possible, at this resolution when I color this in and everything. Like, I really want I want it to be apparent that his eyes are two different colors, because it's an interesting part of the character design I have in mind. It's also why I was fussing about with his hair up here. It's not really hair, it's more like head floof. Even though a lot of my characters have like actual hair, my friend who I'm doing this for has expressed in the past that he doesn't actually like that trope of anthro character designs that much. He would prefer to just be head floof. So I'm gonna be doing head floof that looks slightly like hair. And yeah. Now, I don't know what pose to do for his right hand. Viewer's left. Thinking his thumb will probably just stick up like this, and then he wraps his fingers around his legs slightly. I think that'll work. Yeah, that's not too bad. That'll work fine. Yeah. I said near the beginning of this stream that I wouldn't be talking as much, but oddly, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the talking. Quite a bit more than last time, as a matter of fact. At least for now. So, I am going to be talking on this stream a lot. Alright. I think that looks good. Gonna start erasing some of these construction lines. And then just a slight indicator of a crotch there. And alright. I need to look up some reference images. Let's see. Yeah, Firefox is right there. The character is a tuxedo fox, basically a tuxedo cat, but a fox. So I need to remind myself what those look like. I mean, it's always good to look up reference when doing art. Thankfully, for privacy reasons, it looks like OBS's blur filter is working correctly. That's good. And I set it up in a way where you guys can still kind of see what I'm doing, but just can't read anything. So yeah, they kind of have just a triangular shape pointing down between their front legs. Kind of more of a teardrop triangle shape, but it varies greatly between these cats, I'm noticing, so the exact shape doesn't really matter that much. But they also have kind of a white on their muzzle a lot of the time. Not all the time. This one doesn't have white on top, just underneath. But it is something a lot of these cats have white on their muzzle, so I will have to incorporate that with this character I'm working on. But I mean, I'll get his feedback off stream later on, probably. But now that I've kind of mentally absorbed all those details, now I need to look up another reference of what the outer layer vest of a tuxedo looks like, because that's another feature I want to add to the character. Even though he's probably not going to wear anything else, I still want to add kind of an unbuttoned outer vest for a tuxedo, and he's like not wearing anything else besides that. But I, of course, just need to reference kind of what that looks like before I draw it. I've drawn suits a few times just because of Cave Dogson, my Cave Johnson OC. That's basically just a wolf, anthropomorphic wolf version of Cave Johnson. But tuxedos are slightly different than his suit, so... Alright, I think I've mentally absorbed enough details to do that correctly, so now I can start on this. Kinda has like that shape on his fur. Drew it with some jagged lines, mostly just as an indication that the fur is there, not as much like refining the shape yet, I say as I literally refine the shape. But now I wonder if I should end the color there. Part of why he wants a tuxedo fox as his character is because he used to have a tuxedo cat that he really liked. That he loved that cat. It unfortunately passed away, I think, 1 or 2 years ago now. But he wants his main Sona to be a tuxedo fox, kind of as kind of a homage or a memory thing, a memorial to that cat. So I don't remember what his specific cat looked like. I know it was a tuxedo cat, but I don't remember the specific markings it had. I know that they come in a lot of different shapes, as I was referencing, but I don't remember the specific shapes that cat had. So anyway, that's the fur markings done pretty much, and I just realized he doesn't have a tail, so I'm gonna add a tail, because what's a fox without a big floofy tail? Fox is not a fox without a big floofy tail. That's the answer. Bit of a visual tangent here with his thumb. So, gotta adjust the shape of the tail a little bit so that it doesn't visually like have this tangent here. Maybe I should try a completely different pose for the tail, actually. Because I tend to do that swooping backwards thing a lot, so, and he's going to be leaning against his name banner thing, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to position his tail so that it wraps around the sign, maybe. Kind of follow that line a little bit. That's kind of a not very floofy tail. Kind of want to make it floofy, because foxes have floofy big tails. So, one of the main features of a fox. Yeah, that doesn't even look like it's attached now, so maybe have his tail more sticking up like that. That might work. with some major adjustment. Let's see. Maybe kinda, for lack of a better description, more Sly Cooper-y sort of tail shape. I don't know how to explain why I call it that, but fans of Sly Cooper probably have a vague idea what I mean, because the way Sucker Punch Studios drew Sly Cooper in a lot of the promo art and cutscenes and stuff, his tail was shaped a very, very distinct way that I'm not really sure how to describe, and this tail shape kind of just reminds me of that a bit. I think this will have to do. So, there's his tail, his floofy fox tail. Now, I'll just merge that layer down, and now I'm gonna add that tuxedo jacket that I've already forgotten the shape of. Let's see, kinda two triangles there. Okay, I think I have just a vague idea. It's vague, but it'll work. Kinda. I want it to be an unbuttoned tuxedo jacket, though. Like, he's just found it, and he wears it casually, even though it's a piece of formal wear, technically. Also, do they have sleeves? No, they do not, so. Should probably be a little looser on him. Yeah. And then little button slot things. And then kinda have to figure this out. Because I haven't left that much room for myself to do this. So maybe I should be doing it on the same layer as the rest of him, honestly, just so I can adjust things as necessary a little more easily. So I'll just merge the layers down and do that. I don't like the perspective on this jacket that I've drawn. It just doesn't look correct somehow. Not entirely sure why or how or whatever, but that doesn't look correct at all. Let's undo some of this. Oh, I just looked over at the chat. Thanks for the compliment, Swift Blue Fox. I appreciate it. Also glad to see you here. I don't know if you're still watching at the moment, because I only just now looked over at the chat. I've been so focused on this drawing, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. And thanks again for the compliment. I'm drawing a new character. This is Shadow Fox UK's character for a Twitch TV banner that he's gonna have on his Twitch TV page. It's actually a character design that he's given me the creative freedom to design for him, so kind of just designing a new character here, which is fun. Haven't done that in quite a while, actually. It's been, gosh, years since I did this, so seven buttons on his completely unbuttoned tuxedo jacket. They also have these little pocket things. Need to draw those too. So also need to make the shape more apparently tuxedo jacket-esque. So then draw these things. I don't know if they're pockets or what they are, but just draw that there. Maybe a little seam here. I was thinking of adding a bandana around his neck too, but I don't think I have room to do that. At least not at this resolution. His hand maybe looks a tiny bit too big too, so let's see here. Oop. I want to move the origin of that and then shrink it down just a tiny bit. Position it there. Yeah. I could probably, you're right, I could probably sketch the bandana on a different layer just to see if it works. Need to take care of this hand first. Well, it looked better before I shrank it, but now it looks too big again, so odd. Yeah, I'll come back to that, maybe. I mean, I think the hand is fine, it's just the arm anatomy that's a little weird here. But I'll just do another layer for his bandana. Just kind of couple folds and stuff. Never actually drawn a bandana before, except for one time I did a fan art of Pixie from the Pixie and Brutus comic by Pet Foolery. And Pixie has a little bandana that she wears, so that's the only other time I've done that. But honestly, this doesn't look too bad, I don't think. So I think I'll keep that. Kinda It's always when I zoom out that things start to look a little weird to me. His arm isn't strong enough here. Needs to be just a little bit more muscle there. Also on his shoulder probably needs to come up a little more. There and there, I think. No, that's too much. Yeah, the thing about low resolutions like this, as I was saying earlier in the stream, is it's kind of difficult to get the smaller details correct. But the small details do matter, but at the same time I don't want to be a perfectionist, because perfectionism kills good art, so... His upper arm might be a smidgen too long. Which arm are you referring to? Oh, his right arm? Let's see. Yeah, I can see that a little bit, so... Kinda... Yeah. His right, my left. Yep, so... Gosh, that's gonna be tricky to fix. Well, might as well give it a shot. Give it my best go. Erase this a little bit, and then... do that. Well, that's way too thin now. There we go. That. Well, now his lower arm is way too thin and skinny. So I don't think that was it, unless I just overdid it or something. I mean, yeah, his upper arm is definitely too long, but I don't know how to shorten it properly here. It's just a very subtle issue that's throwing the whole thing off here. So... Maybe his arm is just too long in general. That might be the problem. Because his hand, like if he extended his arm fully and it wasn't bent like this, as it is right now, his hand would be all the way resting like past his knee. And that's definitely not correct, so... Gonna move the hand up a little bit. And that'll shorten the arm, and that'll hopefully fix the problem. Proportions, man. Always got to make sure you have the right proportions, otherwise you end up really fat, really skinny, or something in between. Just like I did on this arm just now. Way too fat. Oh, that's too skinny. Oh, meant to erase there. looks weird. Don't know what it is about the way I drew his knee, but it's definitely not correct. There we go. That's better, I think. Now, connect that line there. Alright, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get the character to look for now. I might work on him more in the next stream, whenever that is, but for now I think he looks good for his black and white line art layer. I'll definitely refine the line art layer, but I also want to have him leaning against something, so just gonna draw a big square here, and then I'll turn it into something or other. It's definitely gonna be where his name is typed out with like an actual typeface. I'm not gonna hand draw that, but thinking it'll be like a stone wall or something. With like an inner area for the actual text and stuff. And that'll be kind of hard to manage the visual tangents of, though, unless I just have the inner area out here. Then I'll add the bricks for the wall. Kinda trying to space them relatively evenly. But this is definitely going to have kind of a slightly more cartoonish aesthetic, so it doesn't matter too much. How even they are or whatever. Do need to be mindful of potential visual tangents, though. Like this line here, that lines up too well with his vest and his elbow. Need to offset it a little bit, but now that lines up with the vest pocket thing, so I need to, gosh, so many visual tangents here. Where do I add that brick? Maybe I just skip that one and go all the way down here. Nah, looks wrong. Whatever. I don't think there's much I can do about that. Doubt people will really notice it anyway. The fact I'm aware that these are visual tangents and stuff is already half the battle, though. Used to not be able to do that, so. Alright, those are pretty good. I think this lower line should just be straight though, instead of cartoonishly wobbly, so. Alright, so that seems like that's mostly that taken care of for his background. In about 10 minutes I'm gonna take like an 11-minute break. And then after the break I'll come back and I'll start working on a different artwork. It's kind of the format that I'm working on for these live streams is first half I do one artwork, second half I want to do something else with like a 10-11 minute break in the middle. So but I guess I could take the break early since there's not much to do here, but in between the bottom of his vest and the vest pocket to the higher side to avoid the elbow. Not entirely sure I understood that, but I'll try to parse it. Let's see. Between the bottom of his vest and the vest pocket to the higher side to avoid the elbow. Huh? That's kind of weird. I don't think that's what you mean. Maybe that? Okay, right there. Cool. Yeah, that does look better, thanks. So, yeah, not much else to do for just the line art of this banner. I guess I should probably make the wall more three-dimensional though, instead of just flat. Doesn't look super good flat, so just add some dimensionality to it. A little bit here. It's not really accurate perspective, but I suppose it doesn't really need to be accurate. This waviness really bothers me, so I'm gonna redraw this line using the line tool. Just make it nice and straight. Make this line a little straight too. At least a little more straight than it was. Because literally anything would be straighter than that. Draw some lines here to connect these bricks to the wall that they are part of. And I think that looks pretty good. I'll just save the document and 57, 58, 59, 60. Yeah, I have like 4 minutes before I take like a 11-minute break. Keep seeing little dots all over my screen here. I just think I need to clean it up a bit. Keep trying to erase what I think is like a line art mistake. Like I keep seeing little dots like these, and I keep trying to erase them, but then it turns out it's just a bunch of junk that is on my screen, a bunch of dust and stuff. So, need to clean that up at some point. It still feels kind of two-dimensional. It's like fake 3D, and fake 3D still looks like 2D, so gonna actually I might need to show a different side than the top depending on the perspective here. I'm not super good at judging perspective though. It looks like we're kind of looking down on the character maybe, because you can see the top of his muzzle. You can see the top of his leg. Yeah. I don't know. I'll just try the new perspective of seeing the top of the wall, see how that looks, and if it looks bad, I can change it pretty easily, so. And it turns out it doesn't look that bad, so. Just need to make it a little bit thicker of a line. Actually, I might inset this inner area a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. You can tell I need a break because I'm running out of things to say, not talking as much at the moment. So, I will take my break in about 1 minute. That break will last roughly 11 minutes. Let me check my timer here. Yeah. 11 minutes, 21 seconds is roughly how long my break will be. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Would love to, except I don't have any Kit Kats here, so only gonna have a break. But and that's my phone alarm going off, letting me know it's intermission time. So I will see you guys in about 11 minutes, 21 seconds ish. When the song ends, you know that the break is over. So I'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone, I'm back from my break. Yeah. Just was checking how many viewers are still here. Looks like you're still here, Swift Blue. Good to see you still. And now that I'm back from my break, I'm going to actually try to start drawing another artwork here. I've kind of, just to recap earlier in the stream, I was saying I would like to potentially add like a PNG tuber style avatar to these live streams in the bottom right corner or whatever. So I'm gonna start drawing images for that. Just a few different expressions of my main character, Blue. Blue the Foxo. And I'm just starting with a circle, as always, because that's the shape of his head. I should probably learn more how to draw a more interesting shape as a character head base, though. Because foxes don't really have circular heads a lot of the time. It's a lot more non-circular, non-spherical. But whatever, I've been drawing Blue the same way for years now, so not about to radically change his design, at least not on purpose. I radically change him all the time, but it's mostly because I'm bad at drawing characters in a consistent way. So not actually sure what I'm doing here. I'm kind of fiddling around while I'm talking. Let me try this again. Head shape is just wrong. It's not really spherical, and that's throwing me off quite a bit. Actually, I should just redraw that using the technique my art tutor taught me of just this. Just rough, loose gestural drawing of the basic shapes. And as a different art tutor once taught me, just do little indicators of stuff. Like this is where his ears will go. Fine. This is where his cheek fluff will go. Sure. Doesn't even have to resemble anything yet. The important part is just to get the super basic gestural stuff down. I already did that with the banner I was working on the first half of this stream, but I did it while I was not streaming, so nobody got to see that. But I kind of want Blue to just be in a fairly neutral pose, I guess, for this PNG tuber avatar thing that I want to make. So, actually, I would like him to look like he's sitting down and drawing. So, maybe his arm goes out like this, like he's drawing. I don't know, what's my arm like right now as I'm drawing? It's certainly not out like that. It's actually tucked in a lot closer to me, and then just kind of relaxing because I have the tablet in my lap. Kind of want to draw Blue like his tablet is on his desk though instead, so just draw a little indicator of the line where his arm will go. If my hand wasn't on my chin, where would it be? Let's see. Kind of just relaxing on the armrest, I guess. One really good tip my art tutor just recently taught me about character poses is always try to make them asymmetrical, because a symmetrical pose is very boring, and she noticed that I have kind of a bad habit of making my poses pretty symmetrical a lot of the time, so it's a habit I would like to break in my art as much as possible, because it'll add a lot more dynamism to my characters if my poses are a lot less symmetrical. So, give him a little snoot here. Maybe that's a little too little. Looks almost like a cat. There we go, that's a little better. Kinda. Out there, a little bit. Angled his chin a little too much here. Should be a little rounder. Just a little bit of indication of where his waist or whatever would be. Probably not even gonna make him like a full body PNG2 avatar or anything. Probably just gonna be from the waist up or whatever, but I feel like his arm needs to be in a slightly more different perspective. But I'm not sure I actually really want to have his arm up like that, so make a little bit bigger brush size for the eraser here. That doesn't look like a relaxed pose to me. I want him to be drawing, but I want him to be relaxed the way I am right now. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what pose I'm actively in at the moment while I'm drawing this. It's definitely not a super upright pose though. I am maybe slightly hunched, but slightly leaning back too, so it's kind of more like that if that's like his spine. Yeah, I think this is a little better. And just keep drawing his arm like too far, like too close to his chest. But then if I draw it in perspective, it also looks weird to me here. Looks like it's way too short. And that's because of the foreshortening effect, but I don't know, it's just one of those things I have to kind of actively fight my bad muscle memory and bad like visualization or whatever. Because if I actually add a little bit of muscle and stuff to his arm, it actually stops looking quite as bad. Kinda. Not really. That still looks wrong, so. Because this up here looks way too long. And now, let's see, a little bit of that, and because I want him to be like drawing on his tablet kind of here-ish. So maybe I should just leave that square there just so I have kind of a mental, like, reference point. Because the way my arm is right now as I'm drawing this is my elbow is almost level with the tablet, but it is actually just very slightly above the tablet, so his elbow would be right here, kinda. Yeah, there we go. I think I finally found the pose that I want. So, at least for his arm. Just a little bit of that. More out. That. Well, no, not really. Yep, there we go. That's better. Just get rid of some of the occluded line work here. Shoulder there, and yeah, this looks okay. His head's too big. Actually, yeah, I can scale relative to his neck. There we go. I think that size is a lot better. Then I can just kind of attach it back to his body a little bit here. Kind of want to erase some of these sketchy lines, start transitioning them to be like more refined, just so I can kind of start visualizing his face and stuff, so that I know which lines to erase, which ones to keep. Actually, I drew his nose wrong. There's actually a much better technique that I have learned for drawing the nose. So, I should apply that here. Makes it look much more 3D. Let's see, that's the middle of his nose there, so would that nostril even be visible? I think it would, but only just slight, like that. Then his face stripe. This eraser's too big. There we go. And kind of the triangular markings on either side of his nose that I've only started drawing on him within the past year or so, if I remember correctly. Because he used to not have these as part of his design. but let's see. Maybe those lines. Let's see, is that too fat? Yes. So this line needs to be, I think, yeah, I think that's a good happy medium right there. Kind of want the line weight to be a little nicer there. Gonna leave some of these sketchy lines because they actually look good for where his hair is gonna be. So, gonna want to turn that into part of his hair right there. Because unlike Gaming Fox UK or Shadow Fox UK's character, my character actually does have hair and not just head floof. So, what did I just do? Hold on. I hit the keyboard shortcut for zooming out. It didn't work. So, that was a little weird, but and so is his face. His face is a little weird here. Can't quite put my finger on it, but something's off. Yeah, I know what's off. Need to get rid of this line. His ear currently attaches all wrong, but I'll figure that out as I go here. Actually, it's distracting me, so I'll get rid of the ear altogether right now. Get rid of some of the, and then move his ear back a little bit further. Oh no, that doesn't look right. That looks a little better. I'm sure I'll figure this out. Kind of getting distracted with minor details again instead of focusing on just cleaning up the lines for his head shape. A lot of artists, especially professionals, actually do all their lining and inking and whatever on a separate layer. Not me, apparently. I like to just erase and redraw all the time. That's how I do things. Now this is all off, so I'm gonna get rid of all that. Do that, and his head's the wrong size again. His neck is a little long, I think. So, time to reposition that. It's actually the right size, just the wrong place. give him slightly spiky hair. Just slightly. Because his hair isn't spiked like I tried to draw Fennecai's hair. My other character, for those who don't know. How did Blue get more buff? He didn't. I mean, technically he got maybe slightly more buff just because I'm getting better at anatomy and stuff, and so I'm drawing the muscles more, but no, he's still canonically skinny and stuff, just like I am, or was when I first designed him. I've gained some weight since, but anyway, he's not supposed to be muscular. I've just started inadvertently drawing him more muscular just because I am like learning the muscles more, so. There's a friend of mine that all his art has like really muscular characters and stuff. And one time he drew Fennecai, and he was like super ripped, super buff and everything. It was pretty funny. And I mean, that's literally just the guy's art style. All his characters look like that. But it's still pretty funny. But he's good. He's a good artist and stuff. He knows the anatomy really well and stuff, so. Kind of want to draw the eyes here so that they're looking kind of at a monitor, like a imaginary screen that's in front of him, because he's drawing. He's basically going to represent me on these live streams. So kind of trying to position his eyes so they're looking off this way. Even though foxes in real life have more cat-like pupils, I like to draw my fox characters with nice round pupils. Just more human-like. More friendly looking. I even have a character that's a cat, and I don't even draw her pupils really cat-like most of the time. And she's literally a cat, so. Yeah. Something's wrong with his eyes. Don't know what they are. Oh, and I haven't actually saved this artwork, so I'm just gonna save it. Refocus the Krita window. Yeah, his eyes kind of just stare. Maybe they need to be more expressive or something. Not sure how. Maybe close his eyelid a little bit. Nah, he looks tired or something now. But he definitely needs an eyelid. That's, I think, part of the problem, so just need to make it more subtle. Yeah, I think that'll work. Then do the same thing to the other eye. Just a very subtle shape change, and That looks better. I think. I always say I think after I say it looks better. Need to get better at not saying that because it's a form of negative self-talk, which is something my art tutor has been telling me a lot. Don't do that, because if you negative self-talk while you're working, like, I don't know how she explained it exactly, but your art will not look as good because you're doubting yourself a lot and telling yourself it doesn't look good. That's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak. And it's good to notice when things legitimately are not looking correct, but you don't want a negative self-talk while you're drawing. That's just not good for you or your art. Trying to get rid of a visual tangent that I saw there. His hair is weird. I think it's not flowing quite right, so I need to remember that his hair kind of flows out like this, so I need to draw it like that. Alright. His hair looks about as good as I think I'm gonna get it. Now I need to take a break from his hair and his face and everything and start refining some stuff down here. Clean up some of this mess. Maybe some indication of his collarbones, even though I'm probably not going to use them or anything. Draw this chest shape, and then reposition the collarbones according to where they should actually be. In perspective. Some of these extra lines and stuff that are everywhere. Just kind of lost in my own thoughts now, but I think this is coming out all right. Mostly. There I go again, the negative self-talk. See, I say a good statement like this is going great, this looks fine, whatever, but then I immediately negate it with I think, or mostly, or whatever. I need to stop doing that. Also, now that I've cleaned up a lot of the gesture drawing lines, I can totally see what you mean by him looking buff. So I'm gonna erase his arm and redo it altogether, because Blue is not buff. No more so than I, and I certainly am not, so. It's his shoulder mainly that was making him look that way. Just kinda need to make his shoulder slope just a little more. Less muscle. Yeah, that'll look better. Just draw that down to here. Then now I am in a bit of a predicament here, because to make the pose look dynamic, it has to be asymmetrical. But I'm not sure how to make more dynamism with this pose. Let's see, one elbow's forward, the other one should be back, I guess. Because every pose, you know, I'm certain no matter what a character is doing, there is a way to make it feel more dynamic by making it asymmetrical. There's always a way. Just have to find it. Part of my job as an artist. Gotta find the best way to pose my characters so that they aren't boring. Because you can tell a great story with quote-unquote boring characters, but if your characters are boring, your story is boring. I don't know if that made any sense at all. But like in storytelling, it's really important that even the most boring character is still interesting in their boringness. Like I've been playing a game recently called Eastshade that has a lot of interesting characters and NPCs in it, and even though the game only has like 3 or 4 different animal races, they're all anthro animals, every single character I've met so far has a drastically different personality, even though they all look the same. And it's interesting, there's this innkeeper that is basically given up on keeping his inn up, like keeping it maintained and stuff. He's just given up, and he's kind of a depressed character, and he always greets you as like, "Welcome to the inn below the tarnished teapot." Like really bored, like he doesn't want to be there, but like it's exaggerated boredom in like a way that actually makes him interesting, even though he's a boring character. So relating that back to this pose I'm making, I want this boring pose to be interesting in its mundanity. Because he's just sitting down drawing on his tablet, but I want it to have enough dynamism to it to where it isn't a boring pose to look at, even though it's a relaxed pose in the actual storytelling. Thankfully, I'm not gonna be fully painting this with all the shading and lighting and stuff. It's just gonna be a flat shaded picture because I have to draw a few variations in order for it to be a PNG tube or avatar thing. So that makes this automatically a fairly easier picture to make. But still gotta get the line art right. Because with flat shading, the only thing that is left to actually show 3D form is the line, like the line art and stuff. So yeah, his ears still look wrong somehow. I'll fix them later. Hit my save button though first. I think his chest actually should go in front of his arm, not behind it like that. At least on that side. Alright, I can get rid of these construction lines now. Clean up some of the sketchiness. And he's definitely going to be wearing a shirt and everything. Just haven't decided whether to draw that yet or to finish his hands first. Because his hands are kind of important. If he's going to be drawing, you know, he needs hands to hold the pen, so... But thing is, I have no idea how to draw the tripod grip that he's holding the pen with. I know his thumb is on top, but I have some trouble visualizing like how it's on top. It's like goes there, and then alright, see you when you get back, Swift Blue. The pen kinda just draw a line for where the pen is. It's kind of, this finger should pinch the pen, and then the other fingers are like, that looks horrible. Definitely doing something wrong there. Maybe I should just focus on the hand, not so much the connection to the wrist yet. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Looks like a Nickelodeon thing. I don't like that. His thumb's wrong, still. Let's see, his middle finger should actually be underneath the pen. I should probably draw the pen, instead of as a simple line, I should draw it as a cylinder. Simple cylinder of sorts. Just so I can, yeah, what the heck. I'll draw the actual shape of the pen too. So his middle finger kind of supports pen from underneath. So it would curl like this. This pointer is posed ready to press the button. His thumb kind of pinches the pen here. And then I suppose it connects like that. Good enough. Just not the way it's connected to the hand. I mean, not the arm, I should say. But easy enough to fix. It's a very difficult hand pose. Oh, I just sampled the canvas when I was trying to zoom out. There we go. Yep, that looks just about as bad as I've ever drawn literally anything, but I'm not sure what to do. I could find like pose reference online, but how do you search for this hand pose specifically? I would have to reference other people's artwork of them drawing, because people, especially artists in the anthropomorphic animal community, they really like drawing their characters drawing, because artistry is kind of part of their identity a lot of the time, so their characters represent them. So they, long-winded way of saying, a lot of furry art has the character drawing like I'm trying to draw here, so I might have to off-stream just reference some images I have and see how the hand looks in those. But for now, I'll just leave the hand looking as crappy as it currently is, because it's good enough for now. Well, it isn't good enough even for now, but I can't do much about it at the moment, so I'm gonna be leaving in about 5 minutes anyway, so this stream has actually gone really well. I had a lot more fun this time, especially with my good friend Swift Blue Fox showing up to support. So since I have 5 minutes left in this stream, I just want to say thanks for watching the stream, Swift Blue. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. And I mean, this was fun. I definitely plan on trying to do this every week. There's going to be some week eventually where I can't do it. That's inevitable, but my plan is, as much as possible, to live stream art and, in the future, other creative tasks every single week, if at all possible. So, gonna be doing some drawing, some game development on this channel, maybe even some Blender 3D modeling, video editing, all of my creative tasks, because even though this channel is currently called Blue the Fox Arts, I've been thinking about it, and I recently have decided, you know, I'd actually like this channel to be my creative channel just in general, and have my main channel be the one with the memes and the gaming and stuff on it. But this channel is going to be all my creative stuff, not just my art. but all the things I create. So, it's gonna be fun live streaming those things in the future. Definitely planning some cool stuff. Once I finish this PNG tuber avatar and all its variants, the live stream will have him in the corner talking whenever I talk and all that stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be great. So, I have about 3 minutes left. So, I don't know if you're back yet, Swift Blue, but I mean the stream is ending in a few minutes, so don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say in the chat or whatever, but this was a good stream. I really enjoyed this whole process today. Had a lot more energy for it than I did last time, so I'm looking forward to next week when I do this again. I'm just kind of finishing up here. Just for today. Definitely the next stream's gonna be working on the same things as this stream was. My PNG tuber avatar here, but also the banner for Shadow Fox UK. And yeah, I mean, I'm completely out of things to say, and the stream ends in 1 minute, so I'm just waiting for the clock to turn to noon, because that's, well, not noon, 2 p.m., because that's when this stream ends officially, so I'll just wait a few more seconds, probably. It's 1:59 p.m. right now. And it's now 2 p.m. Oh, that's my alarm on my phone telling me it's 2 p.m. Alright. Well, that wraps up today's stream, everyone. I am super happy you made it this time, and I am looking forward to doing this again next week. Remember to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the bell, and I will see you around next time, guys. It's been fun. Bye.